I mock the dying. Yes, I do. By the way, good morning. Good morning and welcome back to the Voodoo Garden. This is the first program of 2020. I want to welcome you into the year 2020 and welcome you back to the Voodoo Garden. I have been away for a little while and some of you may know why. Actually, most of you should know why. But those of you who have been living in a box for the last week or so, I have been kind of busy doing the 2020 free seed giveaway. And that's just really condensed. That's where I give away free seeds every single year during the month of January. I won't go into it right now, but if you would like to receive free seeds, go down below this video as soon as it's done. Watch the program first, but after you're done, go down below this program and click where it says show more. The two words show more. It'll expand. Scroll all the way down and there will be a link to the program that tells you where you can get free seeds. No gimmicks, no nothing, no scam or anything. I'm sending free seeds throughout the month of January to you, no matter where you live, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what you grow, no matter how you grow. I'm sending you free seeds during the month of January. So as soon as you're done with this program, scroll down there. If you'd like to receive seeds in the mail from me, I will be more than happy to send them to you without any charge to you. Okay, that being said, I have been away for a couple weeks and I kind of missed you. I did, really. But there are things that are happening in here, things that are all kind of grouped together. So that's why this program is called Where Babies Come From, or How Babies Are Made in the Voodoo Garden. So I think that'll be a good title for this. And it is family friendly. So don't worry, the kids aren't going to freak out or anything, and they're not going to find out anything you don't want them to know. This has to do with plants. It's very family friendly and it's going to be fun. So join in. Everybody, there's plenty of room here for you. I'm going to show you something. Now, to start out, remember I mentioned that I got a Christmas, well, not a Christmas cactus, a holiday cactus before Christmas. I wasn't sure whether it was a Thanksgiving Christmas cactus, a Christmas cactus, or an Easter cactus, because I'm not that good at identifying them. All I know is it's a cactus, and it's right here, not very remarkable looking from a distance. But we're going to do some close-up shots, and I'm going to show you something that I find rather remarkable about holiday cactuses. First of all, you know when you get these things, they have all those flowers, either pink flowers or red flowers. You've seen those, right? And it flowers beautifully. That's how they sell them, because of all the flowers. Then eventually the flowers die and they kind of wilt off and then they go away. If you're lucky and you put it in the right place and give it good conditions, soil, water, light, and I'm going to tell you about that, how to do it properly. What'll happen is it'll flower again. First of all, it'll grow a little bit, okay? And then it'll flower again when it gets its energy ready. Then the flowers die off again. It's a cycle. It goes on and on and on. Well, something broke the cycle with this plant, and it's something that I've never seen happen on any of my plants. It may have happened on yours, but it's never happened for me. It happened this time, and I'm very happy to show you about that. Come on over here and see what the holiday cactus left me after the holiday season. These little holiday specialties come in a variety of sizes. They come from really small ones in tiny pots or to large ones in rather ornate pots. I got mine very cheap. It was only $10 at Walmart right before the holiday season. That's about an average price for a holiday cactus. They call them Christmas cactuses. I believe this one is a Thanksgiving cactus by the looks of the points on the leaves. The Christmas cactuses tend to be a little bit smoother around the edges of the leaves. Not much difference. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to show you. Normally they come with flowers, and this one did have a profusion of flowers. You can see the dead flowers here on the plants because they don't last that long. Well, what happened is the flowers bloomed and they were beautiful, and generally they die and they just kind of fall off all over the place. That's what they look like here. And what I did though is when the flowers were in full bloom, I took my little bee finger. I call it a bee finger because indoors you don't have insects to pollinate your plants. I wanted to see if I could get this to produce seeds, because that is anatomy 101 for making babies. You have the male part of the flower, which is the anther. That's the part that makes the pollen. And then you have the stigma, which is the female part, where the pollen falls onto or is transferred by a bee or as other insect, and that makes a baby, basically. It makes a seed or seed pod, and then when the flower dies, the seed pod starts growing, and then you get seeds. That's how it happens with all forms of plant. Well, not all forms. many forms. There are a lot of forms that don't use this method, but this one actually does. Most of them with flowers do. Well, to show you what happened is I pollinated this, and I've always tried this, and I've never had luck because the flowers just fall off. Some plants are like that. You pollinate them and the flowers fall off, and they never do produce seeds. Well, look. This time, I was lucky. Right at the end of the leaf, here's the flower. I pollinated it with my little bee finger. I call it a bee finger because it's my little finger that goes in there and pollinates things. Look. This is the seed pod at the very base of the flower, and it formed an actual pod. See, when they don't get pollinated, or most times when you have it, the flower dies and it looks like this. Just a little piece of a dead flower on the end of it, and you pluck it off, and eventually a couple, you can't see it because the camera doesn't zoom in close enough, a couple little buds are underneath there, and more flowers are going to be coming out. It's generally on and on and on. Well, with this one, here's another one. I have about 6 of these that have seed pods that are forming because they were pollinated. Is that not neat? Yeah, it is. It is very neat. That is one way that you can propagate. And I'm going to show you the updates on these as soon as the pods get bigger, if they do survive. See, I don't know what's going on here because I've never had this happen. This is the first time I've ever seen this, and it may be the first time you've ever seen this. Or maybe you're lucky and it happens all the time for you. But for me, this is the first time. I'm going to show you updates as these pods get bigger and bigger. And the flowers, by the way, you can take these off and throw them in the potting soil and they'll break down and feed the soil. I always take plant parts and I break them down and feed them back to the plants. Either let them dry and crumble and sprinkle them on the soil surface, or I do indoor composting and then I use that indoor compost to feed the plants. So nothing really goes to waste here in the Voodoo Garden. It's a cycle of life. Well, that is one way to propagate your holiday. I'll call it a Christmas cactus. And another way is sometimes they form roots. Yes, they do. And I'm going to show you the other way to get babies from this cute little plant. What I did was I cut a little piece off. Yep, yes I did. I cut a little piece off and I put it in the soil. Now I'm going to show you a demonstration of how I did this in case you've tried this and haven't had success. Okay, so I'm going to use my plant as a little guinea pig. Normally what you would think is, see how these come in sections, section, that you would just clip it down at the bottom of the section, and that's what people will tell you. Clip a piece of leaf, put it in soil, and then water it and it'll grow roots. I've tried that, it never seemed to work. Has that happened to you? Well, I found the secret to this. You don't clip it at the very base of the leaf. You go down to the next leaf and you clip off part of that. Now let me show you, okay? I did it like this. And this is what it looks like. A whole leaf and a part of a leaf. And then I bury it just up over where the leaves joined. I buried it in the soil. So that's how I did it. This was a few weeks ago. And this is what it is. Look at how much bigger this leaf is than the ones you saw. Now I'm going to bring this out just to show you what happened. Look at that. Of course, these are roots. And you can't really see the root because it's covered up in soil, but those are the roots. This weird little plant, this is called an amaryllis. Now, right around Christmas, you'll see the bulbs. And also in the spring, you can buy these bulbs at garden centers and online. Yes. And what it'll be is, it'll be a bulb that you plant, like a tulip bulb or any other kind of bulb. It looks kind of like an onion. You buy that. You plant it in soil with just the top showing above the soil surface, and it grows these leaves. Beautiful leaves, but nothing really too spectacular. What's spectacular is this. What it'll do is it'll send this stalk up as it puts out leaves, and there'll be trumpet-shaped flowers, either red, white, pink, any color combination. They're very beautiful. They will have male and female parts on them. These are all withered away, but they'll have male and female parts. You can pollinate them with your little bee finger. Yes, you can. And what that'll do is, as soon as the flower starts dying at the base of it, normally the flowers will just fall off when they die. Well, if you pollinate them, look, the flowers are dying, but these are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. This is just the start. What's going to happen is these are going to get rather large, like maybe the size of a small golf ball or something like that. You'll see them in the future, and this will fall off the flower. You'll just have 3 bulbs up here, and then what will happen is one day they split open, and then the crack that opens up will widen, and you will see paper thin. I call them paper because they look just like onion skin, and it's fascinating to watch. They'll open up, and there will be hundreds of these all stacked together, all beautifully. Mother Nature is fascinating. She puts them all together, and then it opens up, and they just flutter down, and they're flat and paper thin, so the wind can catch them and scatter them all over the place. It's beautiful. You can take these seeds, hold on to them, put them in a baggie. Now, I don't know whether they need to be refrigerated for a few months before they'll sprout. You know what? I'm going to test that out when I get these seeds so that you'll know. But you can take these seeds, plant them, and it'll grow a little baby plant. Not as big and thick as this one, because this one started from a bulb. So this can be started from a bulb and grow up. See, what happens is it puts out the leaves, the flower dies, but the leaves have already started to grow from the roots that it put down. It uses the bulb to send out the initial leaves and the stem, but that bulb can only do so much. Then what it does is it forms the roots. This is going to be full of roots. I'll be pulling it out and showing you eventually. The roots will support this, the leaves, and the leaves will support the seed pods. And these actually have quite crazy roots. I mean, they go all over the place. Outside, the roots are extensive. This I'm just growing indoors. This is a voodoo garden. We grow indoors. Generally, I would give it a bigger pot. But anyway, you can grow it from these, or once this is all done and you get the seeds off of this, snip it down to ground level, take this, grow it in a larger pot, or if it is already in a large pot, keep feeding it. Water, fertilizer, good soil, and eventually it will put out another flower. It will continue growing forever in that pot as long as you keep it fed. Yeah, little cheap plants that you get on sale either right at the holiday season or after the holiday season can continue to grow and produce indoors for you. And still, it's a pretty plant even without the flower, but the flowers make it spectacular. Now, wasn't that fun? Yes, it was. I'm a little corny today, but that's how I am sometimes. I am a little bit corny. But I wanted to explain this to you. If you have children or if you just don't know, this is not just for kids. This is for adults too. But I like to make it fun and entertaining for you so that we can learn and have fun in the Voodoo Garden, because that's what it's all about, is having fun. We've seen how certain plants make seeds, how they do it, why they do it, and how we can propagate them without having seeds. Because some plants that we grow indoors aren't going to produce seeds. There are different ways to do it. Well, the bulb, the seed pods, those are 2 different ways. I'm going to show you other plants that have been going nuts because it's just baby making time in the Garden of Voo. Take a walk with me around the room and I'm going to show you a couple different ways and a couple different plants and how they decided to make new life in the Voodoo Garden. Let's start at ground level where we began. This is called Hydra helix or Hydra helix. It's a vine. I call it my little English ivy indoor vine. But this one grows out. I prune it back. It grows out. Very easy to grow. Keep it under medium light. It can grow on low light, medium light, high light. It really doesn't matter. It's a very easy plant to grow. Well, normally you don't think of this as having seeds or seed pods or flowers, right? Well, the way that you make babies with this is, as the vines grow, now I'm going to bring this over so that you can see it up close. Look on the bottom part of this vine. See that? With my hand as a backdrop, it's got little tiny roots coming out, doesn't it? Well, it didn't have roots coming out of it until I put this next to another pot that had soil at the top. It had a little tree growing out of it, and one of the vines just happened to lay down on the soil. It keys this in, and the plant knows it's. Can you believe it? The plant knows it's touching soil. It knows this, and that's weird that plants are self-aware like that. It's touching soil. So then what it'll do is it'll go, this is where I can make more plants. And that's why this vine, of all the vines on the plant, decided to put out roots. Now, once the roots start growing like that, you can clip this vine off, snip it off, plant it in soil, the whole vine. You don't just put it in like this. You lay it down to where the whole vine is covered with soil and just the leaves are showing. What'll happen is those roots will go down. It'll just stay like that for a while, and then eventually new shoots will start coming up along where the vine is buried, and the vine will get stronger and grow, and you have a brand spanking new plant. There's one that's a food plant that does the same thing, only it does it so much better than any plant I've ever seen, and I'm going to show you that one next. You're going to have to pardon the mess here we have with the flowers from the holiday cactus, because it's normally right next to this. This little leafy wonder, this is called sweet potato. Yes, it is. It's a sweet potato vine. It produces sweet potatoes underground. Yeah, you plant the, normally you don't plant seeds for sweet potatoes. You get these little slips in the mail, or you get them from friends. You plant them in the ground, and look at this. That is crazy. Everywhere along this vine, it produces roots. Everywhere that's underneath the ground or in the water. And that's what you do. You just take a piece this big and you bury it all the way up to the top. What will happen is those roots will go down and they'll go out. As they do that, they produce potatoes, sweet potatoes. And yeah, we enjoy the sweet potatoes. We eat them. They're delicious. Well, what you can do is you can grow this inside throughout the winter, and then just keep clipping the vines, putting them in water. When they get they get roots, put them in soil, grow them, repeat the process all the way until spring. And then you have the vines that are ready to go out in the garden. Or you can just grow this for a vine indoors. Yeah, they actually make very beautiful indoor plants. Yeah, can you imagine that? Sweet potatoes indoors. Look at you sniffing stuff. He doesn't eat any of the plants or get poisoned or anything, so don't worry about little R. He just sniffs around looking for mice, making sure that we have no little critters other than him around the voodoo garden. He's the only critter allowed over here. Now, as we walk through this little jungle, I'll try to make sure that I don't trip over anything, because that's what I tend to do. I trip. Remember this? The Prince of Orange? Well, it turns out the prince, he has heirs to the throne, and they're coming out right down here. I clipped off 2 leaves to give them a little bit of light. That's why there's a gap right here. Look at this. Prince of Orange is a philodendron that has the most beautiful, stunning green leaves. I've shown this before. The leaves come out red, they turn a little bit of an amber color, and then as they get older, they turn green. Yeah, that's how the coloration is. Well, look, along the stem down here, we have a new one, we have a new one, we have a new one, and another one right there. It decided to do this just recently, yes. And then just like any philodendron, whether it's an upright or vining, you can just cut the stem off, put it in water, or plant it in soil, and it will grow a new plant. So eventually, that will either be part of the plant, or I can cut it off and have another plant. This is a monster, and it's a beauty. Look at that. Look at the coloration on the leaves. It's called Prince of Orange Philodendron. They can be propagated so easily, and they will grow up a wall, and you can prop them up, you can let them grow along the floor. They are best when they're grown upright. And they do produce flowers, but those flowers do not produce seeds. I've never had my flowers produce seeds. So that would be how we propagate that. Right above it, more babies. It's raining babies in the voodoo garden. These are the spider plants. These are the babies of a baby that I have growing. Spider plants always put out these runners, and they put out little tiny plants at the bottom. You can see the roots. All you do is you snip this off, pop it in soil, and just leave the plant showing. They grow roots. It's one of the easiest plants in the world to grow and for it to produce. Look at that. One little teeny tiny baby up here is producing all of those in a tiny pot. That was from a series I called Growing Small. Remember that? Yeah, you can grow plants in smaller pots and they will produce babies. The purple passion here, that was produced from cuttings from a plant. Cuttings is a very common way for us to produce more plants out of vines. This one also was just one little tiny baby put into a pot. And I'm going to scan down so that you can see what you can get out of one little tiny baby. Eventually, look at that. It's a waterfall of beautiful babies. You can take these, put a whole bunch of them in a large pot, and like maybe 6. And eventually you're going to get a larger plant. Now down here, this larger plant down here, you know what? That's actually the baby of those tiny plants on the shelf. Yeah, but this one has 5 plants in it. So it's going to grow a larger plant, and eventually it's going to put out runners. See, it's already starting to do that. You can make these exponentially as big as you want or as small as you want. 1 plant or a dozen. It depends. If you want a large pot of them, You can do that as well. It can be a floor model. It can be a shelf model. Spider plants are so easy to grow. You just put them in the soil, water them, let it get bone dry, water it again. The worst mistake you can make with spider plants is to keep the soil moist. They hate that. They have these large tuberous roots that will hold water, and so they're experts at going without water for a certain length of time, and they will also put out these little, I call them little feet, all right? And I'm going to show you the little feet. Look over here on the shelf inside here. This is not a leaf. This is a root that's coming out of the plant. And I'm going to move this plant so that you can see this even better behind it. It's kind of hard to hold the camera and move it around, but I do this for you because we're good friends. Look at this. It looks like a spider leg, doesn't it? No, that's a root that will come out of these plants, and you point it right back into the soil, and it will. That's what the roots are underneath there. It'll burrow down there and get the plant even stronger. And they propagate also by making more plants. I put one in there and now it's split and it makes a whole bunch of other ones. Yes, side by side. You can split those and make even more plants, but I don't recommend it because it's just such a mess. And you get all the babies from this as well. They do produce flowers, and just like we mentioned on the other plants, if you pollinate them, they will make seed pods. It's just that you really don't need those with all the other ways that it can make babies. Now let's just swing down and get down to ground level where we began. To end the program, I'm going to show you this one. This is called a peace lily, and there are different kinds. There are the smaller clustered type like this, and there are the singular ones that get really tall. They get about 4 feet tall. This one is not going to get that tall. It has beautiful emerald green leaves, and they normally put out these stalks with white or green flowers. You've seen those before, right? Well, they are a very versatile, very easy to grow plant. The way that you do a peace lily is you can grow it in any kind of light. Medium to medium bright, but not direct sunlight, indoors is best. So you can put these in a medium light location anywhere around your house. Water them. Now, you don't want to let these get bone dry because the leaves will wilt suddenly. That won't hurt the plant as long as you water it again. It'll perk right up within a matter of like 15 to 20 minutes. But what you do want to do is don't let the soil remain wet. Okay, you water it, let it kind of dry out, and then water it again. It takes a little bit of practice. Now, I'm going to shove your head into this plant because, you know, that's what I do. I shove your face into the plant. First of all, look at this. See these leaves? They're kind of small, kind of curled, and that's what was happening with this plant was it was getting crowded, and that's why it was kind of suffering. What I did was I cut some of the plant out, and look at this. The new leaves are big, fat, and vibrant, and the reason is down in the center. That's where the secret to this is. We're going to shove our face in there. Well, maybe we are, or maybe I'll just drop you in there. This is not just one plant. This is a whole host of plants in there. See how they're clustered? And what you can do is you can open this up, and you don't hurt the plant. You just spread it in like this, and you reach down there and you snip these plants. You snip them with a pair of shears down just below the root surface, the soil surface, and you get a plant. You pull it up. Now, I'm not going to do that with that one because I can't hold the camera and do it, but I'm going to show you the result of it. I pulled this little one off of there, out of the center, and see, when you clear out the center, the inside has more room to grow, and the surviving plants in there have less competition. I took this little one, I put it in a cup of water. It had a couple nubs for roots, but look at this. The white roots are the brand new ones. It's starting to grow brand new roots. This one is all ready to put into soil. So what I would do is I would put it into soil and barely bury it right above this crown here. And you can see all the new roots coming out. What will happen with this is it will grow one plant, and then eventually it does what's called splitting, and it forms another plant. Yeah, these plants, let me scan right back over here one last time. This one that I got was only a couple little plants in there, and now it is, I don't know, dozens of plants in there. And at the base of them, they all show some roots. And you can yank them out of there, cut them below the soil surface, yank them out, put them in water, let them grow the roots, and then you can start them in another pot. You can put one, or like with the spiders, you can put more in a pot and make it even bigger. It's all up to you. There are so many different possibilities to do things, And that's what the Voodoo Garden's all about. All things are possible. Oh. Hey there, my tiny R. It's getting to... Thank you. Oh, gosh. I love my little R. I love him more than anything in the world. But boy, sometimes when he licks my face, I don't know where that tongue has been. He smells like 500 different kinds of stink from whatever he's been eating on the floor. Clean that arm, young buck. He keeps me clean. He takes really good care of me. He really does. But, back to you. I want to thank you for joining me for with this little episode of How Babies Are Made in the Voodoo Garden. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. Hope you saw some things that you might want to try in your indoor Voodoo Garden. If you have any questions at all about your indoor growing, please feel free to post it in the comment section below. One of us, me, him, one of the plants, somebody's going to get back to you. Hopefully it's me. I don't like it when my plants take over the computer, but one of us will get back to you, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have about growing your plants indoors. Ooh, you know what? We're going to be coming back really soon with another program on the updates of things that you see here in the Voodoo Garden. There's something growing behind me that you might have noticed. That is coming up on the next program, and also something up by the lights over here that I fully didn't expect. And there's some fruit bearing back there, some new growth coming on a plant that's right by your back, so be careful not to fall back. There's all kinds of new stuff, updates that I want to show you on the things that have been going on here in the Voodoo Garden. Tune in next time right here in the Voodoo Garden. Until then, me and little tiny R, the crackhead, we're out of here. We out of here, little crackhead? Gonna scratch your butt? Yeah, that's kind of good, don't it? Yes, I do. Scratch your ear too. Kiss you on the head because you can't stop me. Oh, thank you. Ooh. Yeah, it's good though.